Hey guys, Igor here once again, and today I've got a subscriber submission that I was asked to redraw, change some things, and give my kind of review on it. So let's take a look at Caleb's submission. He submitted a Kylo Ren piece, and we're gonna just jump in here. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I think he should have done, and then I'll do a playback video of what I did and how I changed the piece. So stay tuned and enjoy. Alright, here we are. Here's Caleb's drawing, his Kylo Ren. I'm not sure if this was taken from a movie screenshot. It doesn't look like it because I don't remember him doing a similar pose. But the first thing that jumps out at me is this sword placement, how it goes in front of the tree, and how the tree sits so far in front of the character, because if you are implying that the trunk is that low, then the perspective would mean that perspective lines would be all going this way. I'm drawing with the trackpad, but it would basically imply that the character is at least a couple feet behind the tree, so the sword, it's basically impossible for it to be curved that way, and also with the hand reaching back. So the second thing after the sword, the second thing that I would say to change up, to adjust, is the pose itself. This leg is very uncomfortably sticking out, and at an angle I would probably cover the leg up with a little bit more snow, and I would cast a stronger shadow, because I feel like the snow in general in the scene is lacking contrast. In real life, I would say, and I might keep saying this, but look at references. Look at a movie reference of his clothing, look at references of even the forest scene, and you're going to pick up on a lot of things that you may have missed otherwise. The falling snow is a nice touch, but you'll see I make a few changes to that. And the other thing is you can see strokes of lines for the snow, so we can pretty clearly see that you used a brush. I have a different technique for doing driven snow, or kind of a sideways falling at a higher speed, and I'll talk about that in the playback. So let's go into the playback, and I'll mention more of the changes as we watch the video. And here we go. So what I first did was imported the image and lowered the opacity on it, and went over and redrew the pose to what I felt like would work better. I also redid the hand placement because I felt the upward slope was uncomfortable if you imagine holding a sword that high. So yeah, you just see me work that out. Go in and start outlining things like the mask, just making sure that any jagged edges that shouldn't be there aren't there. I didn't focus heavily on the clothing, but the next thing that I wanted to do, and I'm going to mention this as not something that you guys can see, but you could take my word for it, is that the layering was done where he had different areas layered out, but they weren't necessarily in a foreground to background order. So that's what I did. I went in and redrew the trees, put them on a back layer, but even further behind that, I had the sky, and in the foreground you have the character on a separate layer, and maybe little things like snow details. So now I'm going in and I'm redrawing the silhouette of Kylo, filling in any areas that are now empty because of the outline difference and the old sketch. And as you can see, I just did a really plain black color for the arm because there's no lightsaber yet. You see me, I think, starting to draw the hilt in. It's kind of hard to see from the playback video because it doesn't zoom in specifically, but what I know is I'll zoom out, I'll take a look, what do I need to change, how should I adjust the painting. I decided to go with a more bluer color for the background, the contrast, because that's what I remember from the trailers. I also didn't use any movie references for this, and right now I'm fixing the mask. Up close I could see that Caleb used different pencil tools and stuff, but they really stood out in some areas, so I tried to address that. Here I went in and I added the sword, and I intentionally wanted to move it so that it would be behind the tree that you see in the foreground on the right side, just to kind of show as an example that if that was to be done that way, then it's okay to show. But instead, I kind of, at least at first, pushed out the glow around the sword. If it's a darker setting, you would typically see a warmer glow all around. And I dropped that below the main character and had it extend all the way past the tree. Then you see me making an adjustment, hiding the tree, turning it back on. I tend to do that with layers. I decided to chop a little bit of the silhouette away from his rib area to make it seem like he's bending more, because it was a little bit too straight. You want to break up these lines. I feel like he looks a little bit like Quasimodo here, but funny things can happen with clothing and movement, so I decided not to read too much into it. You see that red stroke to the left of his mask? That's just a random stroke that happens from zooming in, zooming out. You accidentally draw it. It's not a big deal. But you see that I'm warming up the side from the sword, and the intensity is pretty strong. I could have been a lot more subtle, but again, I decided, it's nighttime, it's a light source, and currently, aside from that, the snow is very light as well. So hopefully, I address that in the future, which I know I do, but I just hope that it's good enough. You see that I also redrew the right leg, his left leg, and then from our point of view, his right leg, and it still looks awkward because I haven't added any of the snow in there. I also thinned out the arm that is on the ground, and here you see me adding a much darker color to the snow to show a little bit more contrast, while keeping most of the area around a little bit lighter. I feel like I should have went in with a darker color around the tree trunk, especially on the opposite side of the glow, but I decided to not waste too much time. I'm kind of just trying to give a general idea. And here we're finishing up. You see what I did with the snow? I created the layer, I stretched it out, bam, did a little bit of color adjustments, and we're done. As always, you guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, as you guys have been doing, and I'm going to keep trying to get these videos out to you. And thanks so much for watching, and have a good day.